power of the internet brings us back together yet once again, people. How are you? It's EC Radio. We're live on all Disruption Network social media platforms. Yeah, and you can view this at your leisure, at your discretion at disruptionnetwork.net. Before we get into anything, much love to my sponsors. We wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for my sponsors. And that big sponsor and a good friend of mine, Eddie Alsheimer over at EJA Moving Services. When you're ready to move and relocate, hit him up at ejamoving.com or call him at 315-335-0516. He'll move you pretty much wherever you need to go. If you want to move to Guam, if you want to move to like San Bernardino, if you want to move to Kansas, if you want to move to Guadalajara, Eddie will move you to Guadalajara. Give him a call today at 315-335-0516. They're reputable. They're great boys. They wear masks. They wear gloves. They're very respectful. They're nice to old ladies. They'll even carry stuff for the old ladies across the street if they needed to. They pack your boxes, and not only do they pack your boxes, but they give you the boxes for free. What moving services do that? They don't. No moving services give you the box for free. But None. EJA Moving Service gives you the box for free, and they pack it for you. They unpack it for you. They deliver it to wherever you need to go. If you need to move your studio, your gym equipment, your band, they're great roadies. I know firsthand that they are great roadies. So if you're a band out there, when we get back to playing gigs again, have EJA move all your gear for you. Give them a call today at 315-335-0516. Also, a shout out to my attorney, Dave Longaretta. If you need legal advice, give him a call today, 315-735-6162. Tell him Uncle Z sent you, and maybe he'll give you the family discount, or maybe he'll charge you double. I don't know. You never know, but Dave's a good man. Give him a call today if you need legal advice. Also, shout out to Utica Coffee. Today, I'm drinking this Costa Rica honey. I'm digging this coffee. It's like a special blend, the brewer's choice or whatever it's called. So check out Utica Coffee at wakethehellup.com. And then Saranac Brewery. Got to give love to the brewery. Always got to give love to Saranac. They always got some great products over there. And looking forward to the day where we can all go commiserate at the Saranac Brewery for one of our concerts.
Amen to that.
Right, bro?
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Nick, how are you, man? Nick Talarico joining me today, drummer extraordinaire. You can find him in such bands as Mythoria, and what are some other bands? Priapism was the other band from back in the day. Those guys were nuts.
It reminds me of being a lot younger and a lot skinnier and a lot faster behind a drum set.
I think you guys at Priapism owe me some money for some damage that you did at the electric company back about 12 years ago.
Probably.
Man, you guys did have you had a good turnout though. I remember it being pretty well, and Priapism was a fun little band, which means like you got a part on forever, right? Is that what it is?
A priapism is an erection that lasts longer than 4 hours, I think, 4 or 5 or something like that. The band was already named, and Big Lou Capelli, who's in the band that I'm in now, basically just kind of hit me out of nowhere. I wasn't really doing anything, and he's like, well, I'm in a new band with some of the guys from Structure to Collapse, and we're doing something new, and it's a lot heavier. So I went over to Rob Schoonmaker's house where they were practicing. I sat behind the kit.
He was a lunatic, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it clicked right away. It was something that was just really easy, something I got really into right away, and it was, one practice, and you want to be in the band? It's like, yeah, I do. You know what I mean? And then we hammered, pretty much hammered out all the music they had already. And I wrote all the drum parts, got them all done, and then we started playing shows, like a month after I joined the band, I think.
That was cool when they had a great little metal scene going on in Utica back in the day.
Well, it was cool because, for the longest time, it was always about bands being really cliquey with each other. You know what I mean? Like, hardcore bands play with hardcore bands.
More competitive.
And, the cool thing is we did, there was a kid that used to play drums in a band before me that I was in before Priapism. His brother passed away, and they had a big benefit for him at was it Club Blue? We used to be on Varick Street.
Yeah.
And it was cool because there were so many different bands there. There were hardcore bands there. I think there was a pop punk band there. Then we played, and it was really cool to see all of these different. I don't want to necessarily call them cliques, but all these different groups of kids that listen to all these different styles of music coming together just to really pay respects to one kid that was local to the area. And I thought that was really, really cool. And you don't find that much these days. You know what I mean? All these bands play together. All these bands play together.
Well, I gotta disagree with you on that because I feel like the music scene nowadays is more tighter now than ever.
Since the turn of 2020 and with the humanitarian crisis that we're facing, definitely say that because when it comes down to it, we are all in this together. You know what I mean? We all have to brave this crisis we're in together. You know what I mean? And that's the only way to do that.
Man, it's just a shitty times that we're living in, and especially with Cuomo's announcement yesterday. You can't play cornhole, you can't dance, you can't have ticketed events and all this. I mean, it's just really crippling our industry.
It is, and both of us, doing production, we both know. You know what I mean? There's friends. I have friends on the West Coast that do technician work and do like all kinds of production work out there, and they're crippled. Their wallets are crippled. Some people are losing their homes. You know what I mean? And it's just it's very sad to know that this is what life has come to. For us here, in the United States in 2020, and all we can really do is kind of, like I said, brave it together and just hunker down and unite up against whatever it is.
Are you feeling like I am? I would die to push a road case right now.
Oh, dude! It's whether it's a show call, whether it's a load in or a load out. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I miss the environment. You know what I mean? I miss the idea of being a part of a production to help a major artist go out there and do what they do. You know what I mean? And that's the nice thing about being a musician growing up and then getting into production later, is that now the respect for all of those people is just beyond what it ever was. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of the times a mere thank you and a handshake isn't enough. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones that are trekking through 4 or 5 inches of mud, with a case, that's got 300 feet of feeder in it. You know what I mean? They not all of them get that.
Right. So it takes a lot. It takes a village to put on a show, especially a huge production. And that's how we reconnected from doing stagehand work
over at Turning Stone.
To Turning Stone.
And then over at the Stanley, too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly. And shout out to all the local stagehands.
They're all great, man.
Yeah.
We have a really, really unique family of production people around here, and there's so many different personalities, so many different characters. You know what I mean? There's never a dull moment,
right?
You know what I mean? No matter where you are, whether you're at the Odd, you're at the Stanley, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get into something somewhere, and that's what I like about it.
And what I love about the local stagehand community is they're always trying to break loadout records.
Oh,
right?
and
I feel like we've shattered so many records throughout the years.
Who was the one night that I forgot who was playing at the Stanley? And I mean, the loadout was an hour and a half, and the night that we had that really big snowstorm, and I forget who was playing. Bob Dylan.
Was it Dylan?
Was it the night of Bob Dylan? Yeah, and we were out in less than an hour and a half, and the tour manager was walking out of the Stanley saying, "I've never seen that before. And now there's a snowstorm, and you guys still did that."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm gonna agree with you hard there. Big shout out to all of us, production hands here in our area.
My man Elliot will always ask the TM, be like, "Okay, what's your record time on loadout?" And then he's very adamant about, "Okay, guys, we need to get this done," and it becomes a thing, and they challenge themselves. So okay, their record loadout is 2 hours and 45 minutes. We're gonna get it in 2.5 hours.
2.5
Let's
hours
go.
flat.
1, 2, 3, break.
Well, he and his crew and everybody that works for Joe Finelli, all those guys, they are the best. You know what I mean? And I got to give a big shout out to them too, because that's with Joe putting on everything at the brewery. You know what I mean? That's huge. That's a huge loss for us in our area. You know what I mean? And for him owning his own company, that's even bigger of a loss. You know what I mean? So
Indeed.
that's those are the ones that I feel for, are like all of our local production company owners that are really taking the massive hit. You know what I mean? We're, as production hands, you know what I mean, we've all taken a hit, no matter what the level. You know what I mean? But some of the guys that when they've got $500,000 of equipment invested, you know what I mean? I can't imagine that. And I hope more than anything else that we get back to normal. You know what I mean? We're able to do that.
Right. And it seems like we're going backwards.
It really does.
And it sucks too, because man, we all need to get back to work.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I want my boys to work and get this going. But
for sure,
as you said, once it gets back to normal, I could see it coming back better than ever.
Oh, more than
wishful
anything,
thinking. I would like to think it's going to be that way.
Absolutely.
But we'll see what happens.
And it's all about the glass being half full, not half empty.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, in all honesty, I don't see why it wouldn't explode once things get back to normal, because everybody loves going to see, whether it's like a trio in your local bar, or you love going to the Stone to see Donnie and Marie Osmond. You know what I mean? we all yearn for that. You know what I mean? And that just goes to show the universal power of music. You know what I mean? I really that's kind of been the fascination for me, is how music can bring so many different people together.
Yeah, it does. I met some of the best people of my life. Some of my best friends are because of music, and that's the reason why I have this podcast
That's
every
it.
day.
That's it.
That's the whole reason why.
Feel that.
Not only just to promote the local music scene, but also give love to the stagehands and the production people and the promoters, and
Because that's what it's all about.
it is. There's just, again, it takes a village to put on a show, especially a major production. Right now, I'm supposed to be at the fair. This is fair time.
Yeah, it is.
And like, I have no idea what to do with myself, and I didn't know what to do with myself in March when the whole thing
Started.
went on shutdown.
Yeah.
I had to write up like call sheets in my house. I still have it up. Catering this way, green room this way.
Oh, wow.
Just to break balls, but at the same time, just to give it that feel like I'm at a show setting.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I know, dude.
Yeah.
Same with you. It's the only thing we know.
Yeah.
You know.
Fortunately, being able to cook helps, you know what I mean? But, with, raising my son, he's being so little and everything, you know what I mean? Taking a layoff was honestly, I think, the biggest blessing in disguise I've had this year.
Yeah.
I've spent so much time with him, the last,
awesome,
5 or 6 months. It's great, you know what I mean? We're literally together from 7 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night on the days that, my wife works. And, he's something else, man. He keeps me busy.
Yeah.
And he's really showing the interest, at being younger than 2, you know what I mean, already really being interactive with, the Mythoria guys when we're at the studio, you know what I mean? Or if I'm just sitting at home listening to music, he's always reaching for the drumsticks or always running around shaking his little hands, you know what I mean? So it's really cool. It's a really cool thing. I really can't say I have any complaints at all being able to do that, you know what I mean?
Right on, man.
I feel really fortunate.
What else have you been doing since COVID?
So just, a lot of music. I'm kind of like being a walking billboard for one of the companies that
I love it, man.
that
Let
I
me
kind
put that on the
of
camera.
endorsed by. Like
You got a new endorsement.
A couple, yeah. They Soul Tone Symbols was just actively posting on social media that they were looking for endorsees and stuff, and send us some tracks, send us some videos, and see what happens, and blah blah. And talking with you, before the podcast started, almost giving this up 2 years ago, you know what I mean, and just selling everything and just really being, a real dad, you know what I mean, and having, a wife that's as supportive as mine is, you know what I mean? It's really fortunate to have that, support to say, no, like, you need to keep going. You need to do this. And if I hadn't, I don't necessarily think I would have been able to make the connections that I did. And it was more or less just, send out a couple videos. I sent out a record that I did with some friends in Syracuse, and it landed like that. The company rep, I gave him my cell phone number and an email. He called me the next day, asked me what I needed, and they've been incredible to me. They've, since I signed on, not just with Soul Tone, but with Scorpion Percussion Drumsticks, and Hero Drumworks out of Des Moines, Iowa. It's all of these people. They're not major companies yet, and I love that, and the fact that I have such personal interaction with the people that have the hands-on with making the products that I'm going out there and supporting. And it's great, you know what I mean? Like, they have all the faith in the world in me, and that's something that I really lacked in myself for a long time. And like I said, back to that support system where, your spouse is looking at you and saying, no, don't give this up, keep going, keep grinding, keep doing this. And
do you think you were like uninspired? Is that what was happening?
That was part of it.
Why you didn't want to,
yeah, being musically uninspired was part of it. Yeah. Kind of losing the spark of like why I really started playing drums in the first place was kind of gone, because it was just, basically either join a new band or form a new band, write a bunch of songs, do a record, play out. It runs its course, and then you move on to the next project. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was just that kind of monotonous, meticulous thing that just kind of kept happening. And that's where I kind of lost that joy. And I didn't want to sit behind my drums. I tore my drums down for a while, and I didn't have that desire anymore. And my wife, my parents too, really, talking to them about it. And it's like, well, you got to get back to doing this. Why you started doing this in the first place? It's because you love to play the drums. And that's where I got back to. And I'm so glad, dude.
You got to feed your soul, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like, it was really it was really hungersome for a long time. And then being able to work with Big Lou Capelli again was just, it made things that much easier. And then, you know, Mythoria just kind of sparked and just, you know, that initial avalanche, you know, once you get that initial ball roll, it just, you know, it escalates from there.
Lou's saying he bugged you. That's what he's saying. He bugged you.
Me.
He bugged you.
He always bugs me. Like no matter what. Like it doesn't matter. He always bugs me. So you're gonna have to be more specific, dude.
He bugged you to play to get going again.
But yeah, no. So like that was the cool thing, is that, like, you know, we talked exactly about what we wanted to do. We've always both been on the same page, whether it was in Priapism where we were doing something really heavy, or now with Mythoria where we're doing something that is much more marketable and much more commercial. We've always just kind of clicked. You know what I mean? It's always been, you know, a very easy thing for the two of us. You know what I mean? We complement each other. And playing with Ryan, it's just, not only am I getting one of the best guitar players in the area, but I mean, we've got, you know, basically an A1 at our disposal.
Ryan Abbott.
Yeah. So it's really cool. You know, we're really lucky. And now that I was saying before, is that he moved his studio into our practice space. We can literally write a new song on the spot and just demo it out right then and there.
Amazing.
So it's just, we've definitely taken advantage of, you know, getting stuff done as far as, you know, with everything with COVID and stuff. So
it's a great advantage to have.
It
not
is.
only that, with technology,
Absolutely.
you could just click a button and go. You don't need a record company or a a to push you into a studio anymore.
As long
or
as you have
distribution or any of that.
Exactly. As long as you have the drive to get it done, it'll get done. You know what I mean? And as long as you surround yourself with the right people, everything that you want and more is within your reach. And that's what 2020's taught me. I mean, and if I can sit here, you know, this little, you know, small town kid from Frankfort, New York, and get the opportunities that I've been given this year, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is not without your reach, no matter what it is. Whether you're a musician, whether you're an athlete, it doesn't matter. Whatever your goal is, you can go out and grab it. And that's what my summer's been. You know what I mean? I have so many friends that, you know, I hear so many negative things with what's going on, you know, in society right now.
It's hard not to be negative.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. It's very hard, and I'm more than anything, I'm grateful that I'm able to keep such this positive outlook, you know, and I keep going. You know what I mean? I wake up every day, and I'm grateful for being able to wake up that day.
Is there anything you'd like to see stick around after COVID's done?
Maybe people staying 6 feet away from me would be pretty
That's
nice.
a good one.
Would
I
be
like
pretty
that.
nice. You know, but I mean, I would very much like for, you know, life to go back to normal, for us to be, you know, interactive, you know, with each other, because that's how we are as human beings. You know what I mean? It's all about human interaction and human connection, and that's what is being put to the test right now with this.
I like that though.
What?
The sanitary idea of everybody being more clean and the 6 feet apart.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the killer thing, and this is what I don't get, is that, you know, we're being preached, you know, and we're being drilled about washing your hands, and like, dude, we're adults, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what, you know?
Yeah, but believe it or not, there are people out there.
Oh no, you're right.
Idea.
You're absolutely right, and like it's mind-boggling. I think more than anything else is like that mind boggles me. You know what I mean? Because like I was raised in a house, you know, where it's, you know, hygiene is very important. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that I'm a germaphobe or anything, but like, that's, you know, you wash your hands, you know what I mean? You don't touch your face when you have dirty hands, you know what I mean? And scares me that people weren't taught that.
Have you picked up anything new since COVID started? Like a new hobby or any of that, or
Not
a new
really,
way of doing something?
No, like I've more or less just been hammering out music. Like talking about Priapism, I actually went back and I did a bunch of the drum parts for a bunch of the old tracks that we had written years ago. And we're not putting, you know, any kind of time construct on it. It's more or less whenever it gets done, it gets done. We are going to put out the record that we wrote all those years ago. I got the drums done for pretty much everything that we had live. There were 2 songs that we hadn't finished as a band yet, that I'm probably going to go back with one of the old Priapism guitar players and rework a little bit and just kind of finish it. But that record's going to get done. I also have another project that I had pretty much right out of high school, was the stereotypical mid 2000s 3-piece pop punk band.
Oh yeah.
And we did, you know, for about a year, we did everything. You know, we played the coffee shops in Herkimer. You know, we would play like friends' houses and stuff. We would just like invite people to like our bass player's basement and just set up the gear and play. And I reconnected with those guys I'd say the last month or so, really.
Oh, cool.
Just catching up about life. You know, my friend Eric lives in California now. He's been there since 2008, I think, 2008. He's got 2 kids. His wife they all live out there. Our old bass player lives in Syracuse. Just reconnecting with those guys, and, you know, just, you know, talking about life and talking about, you know, life back then, you know, because now we're stretching 13 years back, and it was just a really, you know, organic thing. It's just like, well, we had all those songs, and it's just like, you know what? With the amount of knowledge I'm able to say that I've been able to attain now since really getting into production, it's like, you know what? I have the ability to do my own drum tracks. I don't need to work in a major studio anymore to get the high quality that I want. So I'm just going to do it myself. You know what I mean? And I did three songs that I knew the arrangements for perfectly. There weren't going to be any mistakes. And I sent them to my guitar player, and Eric was like, dude, like, this sounds awesome. You know what I mean? So now it's just a matter of I'll work on some drum tracks. I'll go down. I have an electric kit and a full studio set up at my dad's house. So my dad's retired from the Air Force, so me and Mikey kind of just wandered down to, he lives in Springfield, so it's out near Richfield. Wandered out down there, walking the house. Dad, you doing anything? No, I'm just kind of doing, you know, some stuff around. It's like, okay, hold on to Mikey for an hour. I got to lay down some drum tracks really quick. Boom. You know what I mean? Go on the hybrid kit, track everything to MIDI, and I can literally take my computer home and edit everything.
Yeah.
As long as I track everything at my dad's house, I'm good.
And then send it to him.
Literally.
In California.
That's
and it'll be there in 5 minutes, if not shorter.
Literally, if not shorter.
And that's the beauty of technology these days, especially for bands. The only thing that sucks about like today's day and age too, and there's got to be some app out there. Somebody needs to develop this app where there's no latency.
Oh, for sure.
So a band can say you're in Utica and they're in California, and you guys can actually play together, say on a Zoom call or something to that effect. And there's not that app yet. There's too much latency, and that's why a lot of these bands aren't doing these Zoom calls.
It's all. So what I've noticed, and I saw this with Goldfinger when they did the most recent like studio stream that they did.
I haven't heard that name since like 1998.
It was awesome. Like, but at the same time, like you are portraying the message. And I could be wrong if they didn't do this all simultaneously, is you just track everything live. You have a live drum session, you know what I mean, and you basically videotape it as it goes along, and that's kind of what they did. So you have a live 2020 version of, I don't know if it was Superman or Spokesman, whatever that really popular song was back in the day that was on Tony Hawk, and Goldfinger is playing it in 2020, and it's cool. It's cool that is the technology now, but at the same time, that's not live. Right. That's not sitting in the same. Like I said, I could be wrong. Like I don't know technologically what they did to do that, but to get that kind of
individually, probably.
Yeah, to get that kind of quality, you know what I mean. You would have to, but I mean, you are right. I would like to see something like that where you have super high-tech video and audio capabilities, and all you really have to do is just have, you know, a compatible audio interface and, you know, an audio workstation on your computer. You know what I mean? And that's getting back to the technology thing too. That's a cool thing. You know what I mean? That's because you can do that. Does that replace, you know, the guys sitting in the big studio with that, you know, big producer? I don't necessarily think so.
I don't think that will ever go away.
It won't. But I think the cool thing is just the sheer fact that that kind of availability to that kind of technology being that much wider of a scale now, I think is super, you know, it's just it's like a super huge advantage to bands that don't have the ability to spend the major money on the high studio recordings. You know what I mean?
Now I'm thinking outside the box right now, and this is the idea I just came up with.
Hit me.
It's like you're in Frankfurt, I'm in Utica, and we got a guitar player in California. Okay, and we're a 3-piece band. I'm playing bass, you're playing drums, he's playing guitar, and we come together as a hologram. and that's how we would play.
That's crazy.
This is how I'm thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And then there's no latency that way.
Right.
So like we're a hologram type of band, and the hologram thing is starting to become a thing.
Yeah, like
there's
majorly.
Yeah, like
majorly.
Like Vegas, I see Vegas in the future being this hologram city because it's already the city of entertainment.
Yeah.
But eventually down the road, you'll see like an Elvis hologram or a Prince hologram.
Because it's
Michael
always
Jackson.
it's always about pushing that bar. Like, what can we do next?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's honestly it. You know what I mean?
And bring it to that next level of technology.
Exactly.
So here we are as a hologram band, and it's like we come up, you pop up, we all pop up, and we're holograms and we're jamming out. I don't know. I'm thinking like that.
We
could be,
need to
that could be the
hire
technology.
we need to hire the creative geniuses to do that so we can just rake in the millions. That's
Right.
$1 million idea right there.
Somehow do it that way. I don't know. People will probably steal that idea, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
no, seriously,
they
right?
They can steal it.
Did
all
you
day
see what
long.
they said on Disruption Network? Hey, watch this.
But no, I think that would be kind of the way to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. And I'm
I
not
think possibilities are
I'm not
endless.
savvy that way.
No, me either.
So I
honestly.
wouldn't know how that would work and what kind of
Yeah.
app you would need to develop or how you would go about designing all of that. But I would think that might be a way you can combine everybody together so
For sure.
there is no latency.
For sure.
But who knows? I'm not a genius.
That's that. I
just
will
a-
not claim the same.
just a podcast host.
Dude, I'm just a drummer and a dad.
That's it,
That's
brother.
me, man. Simple guys, you know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Like small town, you know what I mean? That's what I know. That's who I am.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
I'm hanging out with Nick Talarico, drummer extraordinaire. And if you are on Facebook, please click the share button. Shout out to John Pappas, too, from Geddes Bakery, man. If you're ever in Syracuse and you want some good snacks,
So good.
They're the best, man. They really are.
Try to make a stop every time I go out to Syracuse.
Do you really?
Yeah, I haven't been out there in a few months, but that's like a spot where I have to go.
He was here a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, and he had cannolis and pastries and all these pasties, everything. And I gained like 10 pounds just from him being here, but it was so delicious.
I feel like I
So
gained
good.
5 just listening to
So
that
if you're ever
because
in-
it's so good. I mean, the quality of their product is just unparalleled, man.
Amazing.
So good.
Amazing. Great bakery. If you're ever in North Syracuse, definitely check out Geddes Bakery. And click that share button, too. And we're live on like a whole bunch of social media platforms. So if you're watching us on YouTube, click the subscribe button. And if you're watching on Twitch, help share on Twitch. I don't even know much about Twitch, and I need to
Me
get
either.
into it. Shout out to my boy Joel Altier. He just signed a partnership with Twitch.
Nice.
Yeah, Joe's out there doing some good stuff. So if you're out on Twitch, make sure you check out Joe and everything. So let's talk about Mythoria, man. You guys got some new music coming out, right?
Yeah, we actually have the third song off of our debut EP that we haven't dropped yet is all done. We're talking with Mr. Anthony Owens about doing a video for it.
I know that guy.
And it's all clicked really well. You know what I mean? We're writing the song. You know, the arrangement. You know, we didn't clash on, but we really had to hunker down to kind of get exactly what we wanted out of this song. And we hammered out the musical arrangement. We were super pumped on it, and Devin started laying down vocals for it, and it was sounding really good, but it sounded like something just wasn't clicking right. And we would try this vocal melody over the verse, try this over the chorus, try this here, try this there, and it just got down to it where we were just pissing ourselves off, you know what I mean? And we're sitting there. Not only is Devin getting frustrated doing the vocal parts, but me and Ryan are getting frustrated because he's not happy, we're not happy. So we were just sitting and talking about it. And this was a late night. We were probably at Ryan's old studio at like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, and we just we looked at each other, and I looked at Ryan, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, just delete it all. Delete all the vocal tracks. And he's like, what do you mean? Delete? And I'm like, delete all of the vocal tracks. And Devin's like, you gotta be kidding me. What are we gonna do? And I'm like, are you pissed? He's like, yeah, I'm pissed. He's like, this song's pissing me off. And I'm just like, this song's pissing me off too. I said, take all the lyrics. I said, don't change a thing. I said, just take all the lyrics. I said, scream the whole song except for both choruses. I said, sing. I said, take that really nice, pretty melody that you got over the chorus. I said, keep that. I said, but scream everything else. And he literally laid the final vocal take down right then and there. We had the stems maybe a half an hour later for the entire song done. And he looked at me and I'm like, do you feel better? He's like, yeah, I'm not pissed anymore.
You gave him that push.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where we, like the three of us, really needed to sit in that room together and just get pissed off, not with each other, but just pissed off at the song. You know what I mean? Like you've got that mental block and it's just, I got to break this. I got to break this. I got to break this. And then boom, it's broken.
Yeah.
And we took that out to our producer out in Massachusetts. Jim listened to the song and he goes, all I'm going to do is mix and master it. I'm not going to change the arrangement at all. This arrangement is just fine the way it is. So now we know as a band that we don't necessarily need to rely on Jim from a musical standpoint, but we're going to utilize him much more from a production standpoint. And we're super pumped with it.
How many songs on it?
We're probably going to do 5 altogether. There might be 6, all depending. We did start hashing out 2 new songs for a record that we're going to follow it up with, which is still being talked about. If we don't follow up the EP with a full length, we might just kind of do the norm, what we're calling the norm right now. Bands are just kind of either doing an EP or doing singles.
Yeah, that's
we
the
might
way
even
it
just
is
do
now.
that. Ryan wrote a song like 9 years ago, and he showed it to us at practice. He basically took all of the original drums that he did out, and he put brand new drums over it. And I'm like, you wrote this 9 years ago? This is a song that's ready to go. And we were talking about it, and it's like, well, do we want to put this on the record? Do we want to? And we talked about it this last practice, and we're like, nah, it's aeons beyond what we're doing on the EP. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep it slightly simpler, slightly more digestible, just to kind of give the world a taste of what we're doing. And the next single we drop after is going to be called "Crushed by Gravity." That's the only thing I'm going to tell you. And the song. The title of the song is very fitting for the music that's going to be behind it. And we're so pumped about it. We're pumped to get these last 2 songs done for the EP, but we're even more pumped for what we're going to be doing next.
How many songs do you have out on the streaming services now?
There's 2 that are available,
Which are both epic.
which
They
we
really are.
appreciate.
They're in heavy
We
rotation on my
appreciate.
playlist. It's on my gym playlist. In fact, like I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, it came over and I'm like, "Who the hell is this?" And I had to look at it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Victoria!"
It's awesome. Like we've had a few friends that have said that, where they're like, "Dude, your music just makes me want to work out." It's like, dude, like whatever. The biggest thing is that we want our music to affect anybody and everybody in only a positive way.
Yeah.
Is it going to affect people in a negative way? Absolutely. That's the inevitable when it comes to
gonna
being
make you
a
wanna
musician.
break shit.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But you want to have that connection with people. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
And that's like the big thing with it is we're not straying too far left or right. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna I don't want to say dumb ourselves down, but we're not gonna make sacrifices in any way that we as a band don't feel we need to when it comes to what we create musically. But yeah, just hammering out the music with those guys, doing like we'll call them internet stuff and the internet music that I'm doing. And just keeping busy, you know what I mean? I want to show that, show these companies that, I'm not just going to sit there and, get the things I need and just kind of sit on it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put this to work.
Yeah, especially nowadays since we're sitting around doing nothing.
Exactly.
You just get on top of it and do it.
You got the time,
And then
utilize it.
It's important not to overthink too.
Yeah.
And just go ahead and do it and don't overthink it. And I would get into that situation as well where you start thinking too much.
Oh
like,
no,
I don't like this part, I don't
equally
like
guilty.
that.
Equally
And
guilty.
we all
of that.
are. Any musician is. You constantly overthink.
You're too over analytical of yourself. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the thing. You are always your own worst critic.
100%.
You know what I mean? That's the thing.
But then when you overthink, you're taking away from the present.
Yes.
So, but if
you
want-
lose the clear point of what that big picture is that you're looking at.
Yep.
When you zoom in on that one puzzle piece that might be slightly fuzzy, you lose that context and that perspective.
Right.
So that's the big thing. Like I'm with you. Get in there, get it done.
Get in there, get it done. You really can't move on to another project fully until you put that one on the shelf, or
That's
get it
it.
out, or
No, that's absolutely it.
however you do it.
That's absolutely it.
Yeah, man, it's overthinking can be a son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like me and you just kind of overload and bombard your plate. My wife will literally attest to this because she'll see me, sitting at the computer, 11 o'clock at night when the kids are in bed, and I'm kind of just, focused in that audio session. And she's like, I don't get it. She's like, you literally, she's like, you do death metal, you do prog, you do pop punk, you do all this stuff.
Yeah,
she's like, and you just split all your focus in multiple. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just, I got to keep myself busy. You know what I mean? If I remain stagnant for too long, I kind of, what's the old saying? Idle hands are the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. I got to keep myself busy.
Exactly. Keep that mind going.
Exactly.
What inspires you?
Life, my kids,
Yeah.
you know, my loved ones, you know what I mean? I've got literally the best. I mean, everybody says this. I got the best support system. I really do. I've got the best family in the world. They, you know, I mean, from, you know, my parents, you know, my brother, his wife, and her family, you know what I mean? My wife, her family. They really all just push me to be the best that I can, you know what I mean? And I wake up in the morning, you know, and I see this little, you know, 18-month-old boy roll over, open his eyes, and smile at me first thing in the morning, you know what I mean? That's, you know, and my stepdaughter too, you know, when she comes in from her room, jumps in bed with me and my wife, you know what I mean? That's what life's about now. I see the big picture.
Yep.
I see the big picture, and I try not to focus too much on each of those individual puzzle pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah, excellent words.
Trying, you know what I mean? That's all we can do with the life that we're given. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you're sitting at that poker table and you lift up those cards, you know what I mean? That's what you're dealt for the day, you know what I mean? You can either get back in bed, you know what I mean, or literally make the best with what you got. And that's what my family and my loved ones have pushed me to do.
You got to play that hand no matter what.
Exactly.
You got to play that
You
hand.
have to.
No sense of sitting on those cards.
That's exactly it. You know what I mean? Because you never know what the other people sitting at the table are playing with.
Right.
So,
and you and me are not playing with full decks.
no,
That's
not
for
at
sure.
all. Never have been, and that's totally fine by me. I accept it.
But yeah, I'd love to hear this new album when you get it done, or an EP, or
Yeah, no,
singles.
for sure.
And do you think it? And I know we've had this conversation last time you were here, and we're gonna have this conversation again. Like putting out singles as in comparison to putting out full lengths.
Full lengths, yeah.
Right? Like nobody buys CDs anymore.
True. I think real true music heads still do. You know what I mean? Like you see the really adamant guys and girls that really want the physical copies of their favorite band's pressings. You know what I mean? I throw myself into that category just because that's kind of where I come from. You know what I mean? I don't think digitizing music, I don't necessarily think is a bad thing because you can get yourself out to that much broader of an audience.
Yeah, distribution.
But you do lose a little bit of that organic sense of not knowing everything right then and there. You know what I mean? You can get a brand new record or CD, you know what I mean? Whatever. You know, you can open up that jacket and you can read all the liner notes. It's like, okay, well, it was recorded here. Here's who produced it. But you never know exactly what was put into that finished product. You know what I mean? Now it's so much more marketable and accessible that, I mean, a band will literally put out a record and they'll literally put, you know, in a PDF, if they have a digi release, they'll put in, you know, a diagram of their miking set up on the drum set for it, you know what I mean? With a full list of the mics they used and how they were placed, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
I sit on both ends, you know, I wouldn't say that it wouldn't be like that extreme, you know what I mean? But like having that knowledge, it's a great thing, but it also does take away from that organic sense, you know what I mean? But
yeah. That's when you get involved with like a record or a CD.
Yeah. If you're like an engineer, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, like it's cool to look at both sides of the coin where you don't know that stuff, but it's also cool if you do know that stuff because then you can take those things that those pros are doing. If you have any of the same gear, you can apply the same techniques to get the same product. So there's your catch-22 where it can be good and bad on one side of the coin, but good and bad on the other side of the coin too.
Yeah.
So it's all about how you perceive it personally.
On the digital side of things, it's just a clickable link. You copy, you paste, you send it out. You can send it to anybody.
Literally.
Instead of going to
Dropbox
the post office.
Dropbox, Drive, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Everything is so easily accessible now. I think human beings we're all kind of on information overload because we just have this sense of all of this information literally at our fingertips.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's another part of it too. You know what I mean? Like there's times where like I love being a musician where I can literally take this and I can go do something. You know what I mean? You got to have that sense where you can have enough, you know, sense in yourself to where you do something for you and nobody else either knows about it, needs to know about it, whatever the case is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've I don't know. And I wouldn't say that I feel we've lost that.
We did.
But
People are documenting every second of their day.
Yeah,
nowadays.
you know what I mean. It's not like your entire life does not need to be on social media. I do not need to be getting 15 notifications from the same person in 30 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but to each his own. People do what they do. They're going to live their lives. I'm not here to judge.
Exactly. But yeah, you're right too. But the kids don't know the struggle of like taking your record that you had and you're proud of, and then putting it in an envelope, putting postage on it, sending it out to record labels or venue owners, or
and then literally
promoters.
getting nothing but a return to sender back without even being opened.
Or not even a reply or nothing. They didn't even look at it. And me, when I owned the club, man, I would get so many press kits in the mail. And back then I liked. This is before the EPK. Came out. I remember when EPK first became a thing, and I'm like, nah, I want the hard copies. I wanted it in the mail. I wanted to physically touch it. I want something that's tangible, and so I can look at the liner notes. And then when the EPK came out, I'm like, I get it, I understand it, but I want something in my hand.
Exactly.
And so there was that aspect of it, but these kids won't even know the struggle of what it was like.
Just because of the marketability of what it is to create music now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All you need is a laptop and an audio interface. You know what I mean? That's it. And a microphone.
Yeah, and that's why there's so much crap music out there nowadays. Everybody's a SoundCloud star.
I mean, I could literally go for an hour or two on that subject.
It's so true.
We
though,
won't.
Man. There's so much. People don't really put the energy or effort. And
it's all about quantity, not quality, and that's the biggest thing when it comes to music.
And it's lacking soul too.
Yeah, dude. Like, and it's one of those things where, you know, it's all about how much can I get out? You know what I mean? How much can I flood? You know, whether it be social media or like mainstream like music streaming platforms. You know what I mean? If I can just get as much out as possible, get as much out, people are going to see my name. They're going to hear my name. They're going to see my face. And that's the end of it. It stretches so far beyond that. You know what I mean? It really stretches beyond that. It's, you know, when you lose that artistic integrity, you know, where does your message really lie? You know what I mean? What are you trying to convey to people? What kind of message are you trying to convey about your music, about your band or your project, about yourself as a human being? So like that's you lose that sense of that, you know, that really high quality, you know, artistic integrity, you know, with the mass market. But like then again, you know, we're talking about catch-22s today. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you have that kind of mass availability to manufacture products like that.
Yeah. And it's so simple nowadays. Like, simple listening, simple minds. Like some of these rap stars or even these rock and roll bands too that are out there nowadays. It's like, I don't get why you're popular. I have no idea why you're popular. Why? Because you can use auto-tune? I don't get it.
I mean, I do get it.
Out there.
The only way I'll say that I disagree with that is that I do get it, and it's only because I see like the people that are eating this music up, and when I see that, it clicks. It's like, oh, that's why they're buying it up. I think more than anything else, I don't wanna think too far in one direction. More than anything else, I want to satisfy in this. I mean, I think when you're a musician, you're just naturally selfish of a person. I don't know if that's a biased opinion to make being a musician. You know, yeah, and you know, it's just. I think sometimes too we kind of lose perception of I got to just play my instrument. You know what I mean? I got to do this why I love it. But at the same time, keep that in the back of your head is that, you know, it's like that market is oversaturated and overflooded, and I've got to do something to stand out where it's not me focusing on standing out, but me satisfying myself and doing enough to stand out. So that's kind of where we sit as a band. Like we never sit and it's just like, oh, you know, we really don't like this part, but like, you know, it fits and da 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 da. We're happy with every individual section, every riff, every song. We know that when we get that finished mastered track from our producer, we're gonna play it through the speakers. We're gonna love it. That's the beauty of being in the project that I'm in now.
It's satisfying.
It is, yeah, it really is. We parted ways with our bass player about 7 or 8 months ago or so. We're working with a new kid who's local in the area. I don't know if you know Josh Williams. Used to play with Jason Davis. Yeah. Josh is in the band with us now.
Great dude.
So he's just, I mean, a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean?
Great player.
I mean, outstanding bass player, you know what I mean? But also has the knowledge that Ryan and I need to make our lives easier in the band too. You know what I mean? The kid's ear for production and just the technical knowledge that he brings in brought us to the next level. And now he learned the songs that our old bass player wrote. He's writing his own bass parts. He's tracking his own bass parts. So that takes the ease off of Ryan to where Ryan doesn't have to think to himself, my bass player has to come to our studio and track his parts. Now Josh can just, you know, do everything at his house, and Ryan will get the tracks and be like, oh, it's great. Okay. And it's done. You know what I mean? That's the big luxury of this project.
That's great, man.
And then we all come together, and it's just we hammer stuff out, and we just get it done. You know what I mean? That's the big thing, is that you want to use your current situation to the most of your advantage.
Yeah. I think it's important that each member of the band take on their own duties, not just playing their instrument. Like somebody should take on, you know,
social media, advertisement,
exactly,
production,
booking shows,
management, booking.
The
You're
money
absolutely
management side of things.
You're absolutely right.
It's important that, you know, not one person do all the work.
Well, and too, I think, you know, with doing that, you have the benefit of knowing how to do each of those tasks and what each of those roles and tasks requires of you. You know what I mean? Then you don't have to pull in these extra people that are going to say, oh, like, I want a percentage of this. Like, no, we don't need you. You know what I mean? Like, that's the big thing. You know what I mean?
Goes
like
back to technology again.
Yeah,
too.
it does. It does.
It goes. You don't need to have an agent unless you put the work in. And you said that earlier. You did say that earlier. As long as each member of the band is willing to put that work in, and you need to put the work in.
It does.
And people don't realize how much work it goes into being in a band, and it's not just playing music and writing.
Hit it right on the head, man.
There's so much that goes into it. There's so many moving parts.
You literally hit it right on the head. I can't say it better.
Then when you go from a club band to, like, say, a mid-level band and playing theaters, then it gets to be a little bit more responsibility. And then when you become a major artist, I mean, there's even more. I mean, you know, working in the production side of things,
where you not only need a tour manager but a stage manager, and, you know, an actual
production manager,
everything,
and a light guy, and
everything.
roadies and techs, and then when you get to a huge level, you got wardrobe people and
riggers, everything.
Well, that comes on the local side of things, but I mean, that just goes with so much work. It's a lot of work, and there's so many.
The general public doesn't get that. They don't get.
They just see the front end of things.
That's exactly. They see their favorite artist on the stage and all the pretty lights and all the decor and all the equipment, and they don't see anything else.
So you being a production guy, you're going to a concert. Are you even looking at the show? Or are you looking up at the rigging and all that?
So, like, I did that for like a year or two, where I was like not super analytical, but I would really like.
I'm super analytical when I go to a show.
I've kind of like, I don't know how, I kind of just, I shook it, and like I'd say the last year, like, I would go to a show and I'd really just do whatever I could to immerse myself in enjoying the performance of the musicians. But every once in a while, I'll look at myself and be like, God, that light is off center, or, you know, the skirting on the risers isn't completely to the floor and it's not dressed. You know what I mean? Every once in a while I'll do that, but I've been very fortunate.
You're not using high vis gap
Yeah,
tape.
exactly. You know what I mean? Like, there's no neon strips on the stairs. You know what I mean? There's no arrows to signify which stairs are up and which stairs are down. You know what I mean? I've been able to get past that, and I've really just grown to appreciate. And it gets back to the people too, because those people that are putting that on, you know, when you do take the time to notice things, you know, I'm sure they appreciate that. You know what I mean? When you take the time, when people are sitting in the audience and saying, man, that, like, the light wash is really subtle for the song that's playing, you know what I mean? The colors complement the music really well. Here's a really warm kind of ballad kind of song, and here's a really nice, like, maybe a pink and like a fuchsia wash, you know what I mean? People appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know I do.
But at the same time, it's just like us being super analytical at the same time.
I got to get over that. I guess once COVID's done and we can finally get back to full speed with concerts and stuff, I'm sure I'll get over all that.
No, absolutely.
And just appreciate the fact that we're going to be at a live show.
And getting back to work and doing what we love to do.
I can't wait. Can you believe that we actually love to do this stuff? I mean, and there's like such thing as a work hangover.
Yeah.
You're pushing road case and you'll come back and be sore the next day.
Yeah.
But then you're willing to do it like right then and there and do it again and do it again.
I mean, it's like where, like, say if your company owner looks at you and says, I know you just did 16 hours, but you got, you know, a 10-hour, you know, in you, and it's just like, yeah, I think I could do that. You know what I mean? And then
You bitch the whole time.
yeah, oh, I mean,
Where's my
literally.
bagels?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think the bitching starts from the time you get out of bed till the time you crawl back into bed when the show's over.
That's why so many production people are miserable because they're
yeah.
working so much.
You have to be. I don't think if I met a stagehand that was genuinely happy. I mean, I'm usually like pretty like genuinely happy of a person, but even myself, you know what I mean. There's days where I just kind of hang my head a little bit, and you see that one production hand that's just got all the pep in their step in the world, and you're just kind of like, man,
You
I don't
must
like
be
you.
new.
Man, I don't like you right now.
You must be new.
Give it another 2 years. You won't really like your life as much.
So true, but we keep coming back for more.
We do, and we always will because we love what we do. And
God, I miss it right now.
Seriously, dude. I miss playing. Like since this band, I've like in rediscovering my love for performing. That's kind of trumped my love for getting back into doing production. But neither one ever goes away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Kim Monroe called me and you just say COVID lifted tonight, and Kim called me and said, "Hey, I got something at the Stone tomorrow," I'd be calling my parents and saying, "I got sprung on work, and I need you to watch Mikey for the day." Bye, click.
And they would totally understand.
And they would,
yeah,
because they know that. I mean, it's something that I love to do. You know what I mean? And I'm able to help support my family doing it. You know, and that's how could you complain?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have no room for it. You know what I mean?
Yep. And we brought this up in the beginning of the show, but the brotherhood of the stagehands.
Yeah.
I do miss that camaraderie amongst everybody and just the ball breaking.
I just found out not too long ago we had a guy pass away from Turning Stone. Gentleman's name was Matt. Was one of the crew chiefs when Kevin Fiore wasn't there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was reading that. One of my buddies sent me that message. This was a couple months back.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know who you're talking about, but I mean, it sucks when anybody passes.
Yeah, you know, for sure. But yeah, it's just it's a shame. You know what I mean? Like
those calls are so many people, you don't know who's who.
Dude,
like, I mean, that's a big call. Same with Stanley too.
Oh yeah, dude. 50 people is not uncommon. You know what I mean? 50 to 75, and that's just production hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not counting Dave DiCola or Joe Finelli or all those guys. You know what I mean?
Never
the guys that are literally directing. You know what I mean?
Which is you bring. I want to get those guys on the show. We need to get those, especially Finelli. Finelli's not doing much right now because there's no work, and I got to get Finelli on the show.
Good guy.
Oh,
good guy.
Sure,
I mean, he literally. This was a couple years back.
Legend.
I mean, he took me on. I mean, this was when I moved back from Seattle. So I mean, I had my name in the production industry in a major metropolis, but I didn't have my name in the hat for our local area here. And I mean, I must have been 2 years ago now. Was the first initial setup for the brewery, and Joe literally called me and he said, he said, do you want to come up and set up the big system, and it's just going to be me and you. And we threw the big system up, and it was I remember this. It was a Wednesday morning, and it was the Wednesday before the first Thursday of the season. There was a show Wednesday night, and then there was the first brewery Thursday of that season. And the sound system went up, and he basically looked at me and said, "I'll call you when I need you." And that's that's literally what he does for me. He call me, something comes up, it's like, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
well, your shit, you're reliable. And you're
enough to get by.
Right, but the backline side of things, and the front end side of things. And
being partly OCD is not a bad thing either, because when you dress a stage really nice and a TM kind of pat you on the back and says thank you very much, it's a nice thing.
It's very important to have a clean stage, man.
For sure.
Nick, this has been great, man. I knew this conversation would go in multiple directions, and of course it did.
Always does. Always does.
Plug Mythoria and where people can check you out and all your social media tags.
So we're on Facebook. You can find us Mythoria. You can find us on YouTube. I don't think we have a Twitter. I don't tweet. I have a Twitter, but I think I've used it once in maybe a decade. We're on YouTube. We've got 2 singles released right now that we've dropped lyric videos for. We're going to be dropping an actual music video, which if you want to talk about with AO.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
We were talking about the lyrics and stuff, and it's really talking about looking at the society that we're living in through the eyes of a human being that is really, doing everything in his or her power to make the most out of their situation in life. And man, they're just getting stuck right under the heel of whether it's somebody in power, somebody in politics, whatever the case is. Someone on that on that structural totem pole is sitting higher than you are, and they're just keeping you down, man. And we were talking about it. I read Devin's lyrics, and we titled the song Calumnium, which is Latin for the word oppression, and that's literally what we're going for. We have a concept hashed out, and it's not going to be anything super crazy. We don't really want to tell a videographic story. We want to focus on performing, you know what I mean, and really getting good shots of us playing our instruments. But we also want to tell a story of what's going on in the world, you know what I mean? And the world is not strawberry fields and roses right now. It's ugly. It's a really ugly place that we're living in. And that's literally what it is. We want to show that. We want to show graphic images of whether it's police brutality, militaristic warfare. We want to show that we are basically all pawns in the game of the people that we will never be able, hopefully, that's an incorrect statement. The people that will never be able to pull down, so we can rise up. So that was the big thing. Is we're just, you know, we're gonna hammer that video out. The EP is gonna be out, let's say by the end of this year, beginning of next year.
AO's the perfect guy to shoot that video.
He really is too, and that's what I was telling Big Lou. Is I'm just like, you know, he's gonna love this, man.
Yeah.
He's gonna love the concept, and it's telling a very real story. You know what I mean? It's not even a story. It's just we're portraying a very real image of the world that we live in. Some people are gonna love it. Some people are gonna hate it, and we're just not gonna worry too much either way. We're just gonna shoot it, film it, shoot it, put it out, and see what the world thinks about it.
Have you seen his video for Head of the Class?
I haven't.
Head of my class.
I haven't. It was one of the ones that Big Lou was telling me about to check out and stuff, because Big Lou was the one that really put him on the table and said, no, we need to do this. And it's supporting
if
local
anybody
too.
would get it and understand it,
He would.
100%.
He would,
100%.
which is perfect for me.
And he's great to work with.
And I've never had a bad interaction with him ever, you know what I mean? And like you said, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get what we're trying to portray. He's gonna get the message. He's gonna get the intent behind it, and he's gonna bring that to life. And that's what we really talked about, you know, this past practice.
I mean, what he did with our videos too for Street Rock,
Yeah, dude.
with Inspirational Noise,
Yeah.
and what he did for Bitch Better Have My Money.
Yeah,
We had
it's
much
so
fun.
great. It's great,
and it's fun to make videos.
That's the thing,
It
you know.
is. If you go have a good time,
That's it.
You know, and let him do his thing. And
That's it.
You're gonna have a great time.
You know what I mean? Just the biggest thing is you let him go, and he's gonna do what he does best.
Yes.
All we have to do is sit there and perform our music. That's it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Great hang today, bro.
Always.
Congratulations on the endorsements, and
Appreciate
keep
it.
shining, keep playing music, keep doing your thing.
Appreciate
We're saying
it.
you guys are all over iTunes and Spotify, Instagram, all the social medias. So check out Mythoria.
Not going to be hard to find us.
And you guys are on my playlist, that gym playlist. And I'm telling you,
Love it.
the other day I was running. I do this little weird exercise at MVCC, and I was running down the straightaway, the 100 meters.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it came on, and I had to stop. To like, what the hell is this? And oh my God, it's
Love
Mythoria.
it. Love it.
And it was weird too, because I'm like, I got Nick coming on next week, as a matter of fact. So,
Nice.
Very cool, man. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today, brother.
Thank you for having me, man.
Shout
It's
out-
always a pleasure.
Shout out to my peoples over at EJA Moving Services, Eddie and his crew. They're awesome human beings. If you're ready to move and relocate, have Eddie do it for you. If you guys are looking to get the hell out of New York State, which most of you are, I'm in that category myself. If you guys are looking to get out of New York State, hit them up at ejamoving.com. 315-335-0516. And I'm telling you, man, they're reputable. And not only are they reputable, but they'll pack your boxes. They'll give you the boxes for free, and they'll move you pretty much wherever the hell you want. Shout out to my boys, Eddie, over at EJA Moving Services. Also, much love to my attorney, Dave Longaretta. If you need legal advice, give him a call today, 315-735-6162. Also, much love to Utica Coffee and the Saranac Brewery. It is Thursday, so I won't be back till Monday when we have Local Music Monday with me and Justin Smithson from the band Showtime. Our guest next week, I'm pretty psyched. Fritz from Fritz's Polka Band is going to join us next week.
That's awesome.
So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with him. Fritz is always a great guy, always
That's
a great
awesome.
guest to talk to, and he's a
Bundle of
great
laughs.
dude. One of the bundle of laughs. Not only that, but they're at one time they were like the hardest drinking polka band in the world.
Really?
Oh my God, those guys were sponsored by Jägermeister,
I didn't know that.
and everywhere they went, they had like a bottle of Jaeger. So sit there and drink Jaeger
Love
with
it.
them all day. And
Love
like
it.
I've gotten pretty shitty with them a couple times.
We should do that. I'm gonna have to pitch that to my band. We'll have to hit up Jägermeister for a sponsor.
I don't, go after Cold Cock whiskey now. It seems like they're the
Texas
big
Hippie
ones.
Coalition.
Yeah.
I saw them at Mayhem a few years ago. They played on the Cold Cock stage.
I don't think Jaeger's doing band submissions
Anymore.
right now.
What?
Yeah, but Cold Cock, and there's a bunch of different like mid-level beverages, if you will,
that would do that.
elixirs that will pick
sure.
up on bands. So
Hey, I'm not against anything, dude.
no,
Not at all.
and it's free booze, man.
I can't get hurt.
Free booze. But yeah, Monday 2:30 we go live. 2:30 with Local Music Monday. So check your local listings, like, subscribe, follow, all that social media lingo. Do it as far as Disruption Network goes, and as far as Mythorio goes.
Love
And
the D.
I will see you. Say that again.
I love the D.
Do you believe what you just said?
Yeah, I know.
All the innuendos that go around this
That's
place.
the thing. Like I said that to my aunt when I was on my way up here. She's just like, "You're going on the what?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I should have put it the other way."
Thank you to all our sponsors. If not for them, this podcast would not be possible. And I will see you on Monday. Later, people.